her plans from Soweto to Lagos, Nairobi to the Cape. She's rewriting the stories they said she couldn't shape. Moms rising in Africa.
We are back into our conversation with greatness being Dr. Tracy Mmako. This is Lerato Sithole, as you know, the founder of Think and Grow Rich Africa, and we continue. I'm actually not sure where the steepness of the journey stops being steep, but what I'm appreciating are the transformational lessons and antidotes that we're receiving as we travel this journey with Dr. Tracy. She's now a mother again, and as we've heard in our previous conversation, the little princess that came before time, that struggled through the first year, you can already see that this is also another greatness in the making. She's now 7 years old. And motherhood, naturally, as Dr. Tracy's husband had said, by God's grace has shown up, and there's a lot of joy, there's a lot of gratitude. And we're going to continue with you, Dr. Tracy. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
We feel like we've drawn a lot, but I'm not sure if we've drawn it all, because we don't want to lose anything. We want to continue drawing it all. So you are now a mother of 2 girls.
I am a mother of 2 girls, and the show goes on.
The show goes on.
In that period of my daughter growing up, I eventually came to sit for these exams.
Yes.
You know, that I had been...
that I can't get enough of.
For.
Yes.
So my preparation continued. What felt to me that it should be a smooth sailing journey now that my daughter is settled, I have a great support structure,
yes,
and I am now a mother of 2 princesses.
Yes.
I thought, I should, easily transition in and out of this exam.
Have you written your exams at this point?
No,
not yet.
I'm still getting ready to go and write.
Oh, you're still starting to get ready and write to write.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I went to go and write my exams in the thick of COVID.
Is this now the daughter is gone past the first year?
Yes.
It's now 3 years?
It's now 2-3 years.
Yeah, okay.
And then I go to write my exams during those tight COVID restriction times, which was difficult because you are studying to be a neurologist, but then an international disaster hits where every doctor at the time would remember that COVID didn't care what specialty you were doing.
Yeah.
So we all had to be pulled out of our specialties back into being general practitioners so that we can assist with COVID patients.
Yeah.
So this side I'm preparing for exams, and on the other side I'm working in and out of COVID wards.
Yes.
And screenings.
With the risk of
with the risk of myself also contracting the virus, and also for every health worker that period was a very anxious period, because we were always aware that I could take COVID from work and go and infect my family. People were in hard lockdown, they were not going to work, but us being essential, it meant we had to go to work.
Yes.
So that was a challenge of a different kind for me, because I was so used to working in neurology. I was in my element at that time. I was ready for exams and things like that. But by His grace, we survived that period. I did, unfortunately, eventually, try and take my children to my parents so that they can quarantine there, and for me to have a little bit of a relaxed time, not worrying about infecting them.
Yes.
But in that second phase of the variant of COVID, my husband and I both contracted COVID. And we went through it okay. It was difficult, of course, because we were sick, but we went through it okay, and then we came out on the other side. And I eventually went and wrote my exams for the first time, and unfortunately I didn't make it in those exams. I felt, reasonably well prepared. So when I didn't make it, it was another, shock to say, what could have gone wrong now?
After you sacrificed
I've sacrificed so much, I could have, afforded myself a little bit of a break and not had to study on hospital benches. But that was that, you have to keep it moving. I took it a little bit hard, but I think the good thing was then I had support. I didn't go through the pain alone.
Right.
And my husband was a very encouraging person for me at that time. And he gave me that little bit of hope to push even further, to say, no, you know what?
Go do it again.
Go do it again, and this time you'll fly through it.
Yeah.
And indeed, that's what I did. But the thing that most people might not have the preview of knowing is that these specialist exams take time. They take long. So you spend an entire half of the year going through exams. So
you write exams for 6 months?
Yeah, you are in the exam rotation for 6 months. So by the time you have to go through the next one, then it means the whole year you've either been waiting for results or have written the paper, and now you have to prepare for orals, because there are, a lot of stages to these exams, so that they make sure that the product that goes out of there being a specialist is a good product.
Yeah.
So I didn't make my first exams, so it meant immediately after that I needed to go right back into registration for the next exams. So I did that. And on my second try, that is when I passed my exams.
Yeah.
So very exciting period, very, unbelievable type of period. It's almost like you go to the exams hoping to pass, but not actually believing that you would. I don't know how that exists together, but we've learned throughout my journey that positive and negative can actually exist in the same life, with the same person at the same time. And it shouldn't come as a surprise.
It just depends where you put your attention, then it's where the direction is going.
That's where the direction would go. So again, I've passed that exam, and now...
Is that the end of it now?
No, it's not the end of it, because for me now to be registered with the Health Professionals Council as a specialist, I need to complete a research project before I can register for that.
Other books again?
Yes. So at least that one was a research project. So you had, it is almost like an open book exam.
Okay.
So you have all the information in front of you. You just have to put them in a certain way so that you can pass. And that period took longer than I expected for it to take, because as I was preparing for my exams, in parallel, I was already writing the chapters of my research. I had collected my data, I had sent it to a statistician. So I thought, when I get those results to say I've passed, at the same time, my results for my research should come back. But that's not how it worked. So after passing the exams, I still continued working in the training post while I was completing my research. So you go through many rounds of corrections and whatever, and they find an examiner for you who would mark your research. It has to be 2 examiners, and they must both agree that you passed.
Sounds complicated, but hey, yeah.
It can be quite complicated, but for me, I felt that it was taking too long.
Yeah.
And my main focus at the time was that I wanted to be independent.
Right.
To be able to practice as a neurologist outside of the teaching hospital where I trained.
Yeah.
But that seemed to take a bit of time. So I think I waited for almost 2 years.
Oh my God.
While still working in that training post. Waiting for my research to reach its completion.
Sure.
Research got completed, but in the meantime, while one part of your life is doing something, the other part
doesn't
of your
stop.
life
It continues.
It continues.
Yes.
So life is lived in parallel.
Yes.
So at that time, I now was this changed lady who I now started a conversation with my husband, expressing to him that I've noticed now it's nice when you are no longer studying, because you can have certain thoughts that when you were studying, they seemed like too much to think about at the time.
Yeah.
But at the time, I said to my husband, I'm very grateful that I have 2 little girls.
Yes.
They are absolutely the joy of my life.
Yes.
But I feel that I should have a boy child.
Oh, that's you now.
That's me now.
After all of that.
Yes. After all of that, I said to my husband, I feel like I am not complete as a mother because I have this need that I should have a boy child on this side of the earth, And we went deeper into that conversation because I needed for him to understand why this yearning for a boy child. So I had to serve reminders. The twins were a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
The loss was a boy.
Oh,
and going back to the conversation that he had with his mother.
Yes.
Before I had a miscarriage,
my
mother-in-law was receiving a baby boy,
right?
And then I lost that one. So I said to my husband, it cannot be that my story of motherhood would end without me holding an alive baby boy in my hands.
Powerful.
So my husband, I think even for him, he was shocked. He was like,
because now he's lived this journey with you, with the little girl, and
he's lived the journey with me, and he has experienced how much struggles I had with my own health in order to have children.
Yes,
and the first thing that he asked, without the natural excitement of a man, the natural excitement of a man is that when they have baby boys they are aware that this is the continuation of my lineage,
right. Yes.
So without him expressing that excitement, he was first and foremost worried about my health during the pregnancy.
Right.
He was like, are you sure we need to go that way? Because you get very sick. You have very complicated pregnancies. But then again, who am I to argue with your yearning as a mother? Because I don't know how it feels like to be a mother in yearning. So he was still open to say, okay, if a baby boy is what you want, we will pray for that baby boy, and that baby boy would come naturally.
Yes.
So that is a very spiritual journey that we took at that time when I was expressing this yearning to him to say, I want to hold a baby boy this side of the world. So I started, doing my own prayers.
Yes.
And on his end, he was also doing his own prayers.
Right.
And the prayers were really simple prayers to just say, God, bless us with a baby boy.
Yes.
As to how that would happen,
You didn't define it.
We didn't define it. So
I would have defined, I don't know, because of the past, because of but you probably focused on the baby boy.
I focused on the end goal. I didn't focus on what I would have to go through in order to reach that end goal. But there was a point where I was fully on contraceptives. I was still in prayer for a baby boy, so I was still on contraceptives. So by some strange funny reason, we all know that every contraceptive has a percentage of failure.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So even when we are put on contraceptives, the doctors will usually say, this is the failure rate of this contraceptive. And according to me and my gynae, I was on the strongest form of contraceptive that I could be on.
Yes.
Which is a copper loop.
Yeah.
So, but one fateful day while I was busy with work, as I usually am, I started to feel a strange amount of pain, And I remember in the middle of working, calling my husband and saying to him, hey, you know what? I feel very funny. So I think you should just be on standby that I might call you and say I'm not able to drive myself back home.
Yes.
So as it happened, I said that, and immediately, without even waiting for me to say I can't drive home, he drove and then parked where I was working so that he could just see what kind of situation he would find me in. And I finished work. I still, continued through work through that pain.
Yeah.
I finished, and by the time we got in the car now together, I was in an excruciating amount of pain. I couldn't exactly tell him what it was, where the pain was coming from, but I knew that I was having pain and it was in my stomach.
Yeah.
And he said, well, we are not going to drive home in this way. So tell me which one of the doctors you want to see.
Yeah.
And then I said to him, you know what? I don't know, but I think probably I should call my gynae. So we call the gynae. I go to the gynae, and when we do the ultrasound, the loop had moved down into the uterus, into the cervix. That is the reason why I was having pain.
It had shifted.
And it had shifted, and then surprise, is a 17-week-old pregnant.
Oh, 17.
No morning sickness, no
warning, nothing.
No warning, nothing.
What?
Where in all my pregnancies, I struggled very much with morning sickness.
Yes.
But for this pregnancy,
nothing.
It was like, no, I'm not coming.
And I'm shifting the copper thing down there. Wow.
So that you can get your answered prayer.
That's a prayer. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the prayer. Only God can do that.
Only God can do that. I don't know of any other scientific explanation that we can all have.
Yeah.
And fortunate enough for me, at that time, the loop was so lower down in the cervix that it was able to just be pulled out in the rooms.
Yeah. Okay.
So
that's what
he
happened.
pulled it out, and that is what happened. And at that 17 weeks, I have a gynae who doesn't like to confirm babies' genders early in pregnancy. But because I have a trained eye myself, I asked the question. But I asked the question because I was seeing what I was seeing.
Okay.
So as we were looking at the baby and he was showing us, okay, this is the baby and all that, I said to him, well, I think I can see the gender, but can you confirm it for me?
Yeah.
And he said no. And then I said, okay, just hold it still where you would hold it if you were to tell me the gender. So he held it still. I said, print out that picture for me. He printed it out. We did our normal checkups of pregnancy, and then we left on our way.
Right.
And as we are driving with my husband, I'm focusing on this picture of this ultrasound that he had given to me. And I said to my husband, this baby is a boy. And then my husband was like, but baby, the doctor said it's too early.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I know, but I am telling you that this baby is a boy. And then he said, okay, since our gynae didn't want to confirm, do you know of another gynae that we can go to so that we can get the confirmation? I said to him, absolutely, I will find a colleague that we can go to who will confirm the pregnancy for us. But because of busy work schedules and all that, it took us another 2 to 3 weeks before we could get an appointment.
Yeah, okay.
So by the time I went there, I think I was around 20 or 21 weeks. We went to a different doctor, and I was honest with him because I spoke to him on the phone. I said to him, hey, listen, I just want you to confirm the gender for me. I think I know it, but my gynae doesn't want to confirm, so I need for you to confirm. He said, absolutely, come in and I will confirm it to you.
Right.
And I went, and before we could even get anywhere, the minute he put that probe on my abdomen, he was like, well, you are correct, this is a boy. And the way he delivered the news, very interesting gynae, a very kind gentleman. He used to just close his eyes and he would look and see what question I wanted him to answer, and then he would answer me with his eyes closed. He said. And I remember exactly the sentence that he said. He said, well, Doc, you can go to Min Lane, and when you get to Min Lane, the color that you are supposed to buy is blue. So we had the greatest amount of joy in that moment, because even for my husband, I think, because we all know that the gender of a baby that a woman carries is controlled by the man.
Yes.
Even for him, I think he breathed a sigh of relief to say, I was able to give her what she wanted.
Oh, God.
Not to say that if the baby was a girl,
he was not going
to be happy, but just because the way we got to that pregnancy was by me saying, I am yearning to hold a baby boy.
Wow, beautiful.
This side of the earth.
Yeah.
So that was the exciting part of finding out that this baby is a boy, and
an answered prayer,
because that is exactly what we prayed for. And in true my husband's fashion, when we left that consultation room, the first thing we did when we got in the car, we prayed a prayer of gratitude to say, Lord, you have answered, we have seen.
Beautiful.
And amen.
Oh.
And
wow.
The journey leading up to the baby actually becoming born became a little bumpy as we went along. Well, I think bumpy roads are my trademark at this point. At that time, I finally got my results of my research.
Yeah.
And I was finally able to register with the HPCSA as a specialist.
As a specialist, okay.
But going back a couple of years, when I passed my written part of exams and orals, I had been promised at that time that there was a post that was waiting for me. So now, in the thick of my pregnancy, I discovered that post is not there.
Longer available.
It's no longer available. Now, you can imagine.
So this post must be in a hospital?
It must be in a hospital.
Yeah.
So it is not easy to start a private practice. And what makes it even more difficult is the fact that at that time I was heavily pregnant. So it was not going to be an easy ride for me to say, I'm going to live here and then I'm going to go to private and open my own practice only to leave it in its infant stages to go and have a baby.
Oh, yeah.
So I needed a little bit more stability in that time.
Yeah.
But the cards that I was dealt were not the easiest cards. So this post is now no longer available for me, or it is taking its time to emerge. And I'm now already registered, and I'm now already past the middle of my pregnancy. So I was heavily pregnant and job hunting. So as you know, you are applying for jobs. I was living in Gauteng with all of my children, my family, and then the only job that I could find in that state was a job in Mpumalanga. So this is how I became
a neurologist
in Mpumalanga.
I get it.
So
yeah.
I went to my interview covering my pregnancy, so that the people that are interviewing me don't have to see that
we
I'm
do
pregnant.
That, don't we? As
because
women,
because
you don't know the biases that are sitting
you
there.
don't want people to already be biased by just looking at your physical appearance. So I dressed in such a way that I didn't show that I was pregnant. I went for that interview, and I flew through that interview, and by the time I left, I was certain that I had gotten that job. On the other side, I was in my notice period for my contract to end. And there's that uncertainty of waiting for the results of your interview. No matter how confident you are that you did the interview correctly, you still need the confirmation and the paperwork to follow it. So the month ended, and I didn't hear a thing. And came the 31st of July, and I remember saying to my husband that morning, I said to him, you know, babe, when I come back from work today, I'm going to be unemployed. And it felt like I was telling him something that that he didn't think about at the time.
Yeah.
Said, babe, you know, when I come back from work today, I'm going to be unemployed.
Right, yeah.
And, you know, as shocked as he was like, you know what? Go to work and be yourself. I'm sure we'll be okay. So I went to work. And
you're still pregnant, of course. Yeah, you are still pregnant.
I'm still pregnant.
Yes.
I went to work, and I remember waking up on the 1st of August 2023 and feeling and being unemployed for the first time.
Tasting. But, you know, even for me, you're telling me now, although it's, you know, it's a story you've already lived, I don't see how unemployment fits in with you being a registered specialist. But it's a world that we maybe don't have the privy to understand, that you guys can also render yourself unemployed.
You can be unemployed. And actually now is more common for doctors to be unemployed, unfortunately. The way our country is going, it's very common for doctors to be unemployed. But what happened on the 1st of August in 2023, I don't know what I can call it, except to say that day, if you didn't believe in God, you would need to immediately snap out of yourself and start believing that God exists. On the 1st of August, my husband woke me up bright and early and said, babe, wake up, we are going to prepare ourselves and you are going to work.
Okay. You've done that interview, you haven't got confirmation.
I haven't gotten confirmation.
That other notice period has come to an end yesterday as of 31st July.
Yes.
Right.
So I follow what my husband is saying. So we wake up, we prepare ourselves, we get in our car, and we drive to Mpumalanga. We are driving to Mpumalanga. I don't have an answer. I don't have a job. I haven't been contacted by any HR member. We drive to Mpumalanga and we check ourselves into a hotel, and he says to me, pick up your phone and call the clinical manager of the hospital where you did your interview. I call him. And before I could even explain, I didn't exactly know what I was going to say to him, because it's quite strange to just show up.
But it's also quite strange that you're just following the instructions. And I mean, you're an educated somebody, you would no, but there's logic. This is what But faith was running on steroids at that time.
Faith was running on steroids at that time.
Yeah.
So when I call this gentleman, I say hello and I introduce myself. And he says to me, Tracy, I know who you are, but where are you? According to me, you are supposed to resume duty today.
What?
And then I say, I say to him, well, it's interesting that you say that, because I didn't receive anything from your HR. He says, you didn't receive anything? I left for leave 2 weeks ago, and I left your appointment papers with HR. So if they didn't contact you, please come so that we can rectify that situation, so that you can actually assume duty today.
Yes.
And I said to my husband, well, I think today I give you a head to say you are a prophet.
Yeah.
Wow. I felt like for him, that was such a faith move.
Huge one.
And I ask myself every day that, had he not done that morning, when would I have found out?
Sure. Wow.
Because I was going to have to wait for this guy to come back from leave, for him to realize that I hadn't been informed, and then only maybe call me. And then you might find that at that time I'm supposed to deliver and all that. Because remember, at that time I was already heavily pregnant.
Yes.
So I show up for this first day. And on the first day, I serve the honesty pill. By the way, I am pregnant, and I'm so you sign first. You don't make this.
Listen, I've done that before.
You don't make this amateur type of mistake.
I've done that before.
You sign on the dotted line,
exactly.
and the contract is submitted and accepted. And once you are sure that you are on this system,
yes,
then you start talking.
Yeah.
So I went. I had a meeting.
But we'll advise the ladies not to do this at home.
Yeah, please don't try this at home. You risk being unemployed.
Yes.
So I signed, and the gentleman was like, no, it's okay. Whenever your gynae says you need to take maternity leave, you can take it. So just bring us the forms and we will sign, and you get to go on maternity leave.
Yeah.
I was only able to work for 12 days in that August, having started on the 1st. Because in a few days before that 12th of August, I started experiencing a lot of vomiting. And when I was speaking to my guy, because now I'm in Mpumalanga, he's in Pretoria, I was talking to him on the phone, just explaining to him how I'm feeling. And he said to me, well, you shouldn't be working. But because I know that even if I say don't work, you are going to work. There is this doctor who is there in Mpumalanga.
Yeah.
Please go and see him so that he can just check that everything is okay.
Right.
And the first chance you get, please do come back so that we can do a proper assessment and see, because you know also yourself that your pregnancies tend to have a lot of challenges. So I continued to try and work for those 12 days. And what happened on that 12th day, I went to work in the morning. I did my rounds, I finished. And when I went back to the house to try and get something to eat, nothing could stay in. So whether it was a drink of water or it was tea or it was whatever. And my husband was like, you know what? I'm not having this. Please let us just call him and tell him that you are not feeling well and we have to drive back to Gauteng so that you can see your guy.
Yeah.
Drove back to Gauteng. And we submitted, the maternity leave forms while we were already, we had already left.
Yeah.
And what happened then was that I went, the doctor saw me, and he said, well, you are very dehydrated. Your kidneys are already starting to show signs of severe dehydration, so I have to admit you. So I was admitted, and in that admission, I think also because he knows my history from far back,
yes,
he was also addressing his own anxiety.
Yes.
Because now,
wow,
in that, and he kept repeating it to everyone that was doing the round with him to say, guys, this woman has been through a lot to deliver this baby, so we need to make sure that we check everything every day.
Yes.
Vomiting continued. Some days it was worse than other days. And eventually he decided, well, then it means you are just vomiting. So we will call this hyperemesis gravidarum, meaning you are vomiting because you are pregnant. And after 2 weeks of consistently trying to correct in hospital, consistently trying to correct, the kidney function, correct levels of dehydration, and make sure that I'm still able to get some form of nutrition. After 2 weeks, he decided, no, we need to get this baby out, because if we get the baby out, then you should be able to recover.
And he's also free to treat you without the limitations.
Of thinking, okay, this drug is going to harm the baby, so we can't go there.
Yes.
And there I was again facing the issue of prematurity.
Or was it not almost at a close full term?
No, it was not at a full term. We were still about 5 weeks before the time. And at that time, blood pressures are normal, everything is normal. And I just felt like, you know what, I would just like to have a normal run-of-the-mill pregnancy.
All the way to
the end, and deliver in a normal cesarean section kind of way. And just go home the following day. What is so difficult about that? Millions and millions of women do it that way.
Yes.
And he was like, no, we cannot hold on anymore. And in any case, I'm happy with the weight of the baby. So we should deliver him.
Yeah.
Before you get complicated and then complicate also for him. So we went, baby boy was delivered. Prematurely so, but a great weight. He didn't need any support, although the coming out of the belly was very difficult for him.
What are you talking about?
So I was delivering via cesarean section.
Yes.
And during the cesarean section, they realized when they opened the abdomen that the pregnancy is in the placenta is in front of the baby. So that complicates the whole delivery altogether, because the placenta came out of the abdomen while the baby was still inside, meaning for that period of time where they were still struggling to get the baby out, there was no oxygen delivered to the baby. There was no nutrition that could be delivered to the baby. And I don't think.
But you were on general anesthesia, right?
No,
you were on.
I went into theater asking and pleading
to be on epidural
for a general anesthetic.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't want to be in my head a lot. I had too much pressure of thinking I have the monster of prematurity chasing me my entire journey of motherhood.
Yes.
So I asked this anesthetist, I say, please, let us do it under general. And my gynae was not putting up much of a fight. He was like, well, you've been through enough and dad is here to receive the baby. So you can actually be under general anesthesia. But the anesthetist was not having it. She was like, no, mommy, we are going to do it under spinal. Hi. Okay. I was under spinal, meaning I was awake and I was hearing everything, including the panic of my gynae when the baby couldn't come out.
now the baby is deprived of oxygen
in that time.
and you are present.
And I am
No.
present.
No.
And, you know, I started screaming, and my husband also being fully awake for that moment. I think he tried for the first, few minutes to try and support me, to tell me to calm down, that everything is going to be okay, until he eventually also broke down.
Yeah.
And in true my husband's fashion, when he is breaking down, tears flowing down his face, he straight went into prayer mode.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to him praying and praying and praying. And I'm listening to the doctor that side experiencing panic. This baby needs to come. And I think even now, when we talk about the birth of our son, those are the words that come out of my husband's mouth, even though he was in prayer when the doctor was saying that.
Yeah.
But the doctor kept saying, we are having difficulty here. This baby needs to come out. He's not getting oxygen. And I remember the anesthetist, sitting there and being very quiet. And I wondered, but I asked you for a general anesthesia. Look now what I'm going through.
Yes.
And we are both crying. And the anesthetist is like just standing there. My doctor is panicking, is sweating. The pediatrician is waiting, and she's screaming as well to say, give me that baby. We cannot have this lady come out of this theater with a baby that is not alive. And I remember the moment when they said, the baby is out. And there was complete silence.
And no that
cry.
Yeah.
From that boy. No cry. And I remember when they lifted him up from my abdomen, because they put
that
this
screen,
so that you can see. But when he lifted him up, I could see him in the air looking as white as paper. And my medical mind was like so awake in that moment to say my baby is not alive. And you are sitting there and your husband is also falling apart. Who is supposed to support who? And at some point, after his tears has flown in what felt like forever, then we had him cry. In terms of the silence, a silence of you waiting to hear the baby's cry. Even though it is short, I don't know how long that silence was, but for me, it felt like it took forever. And eventually when the baby started crying, and the pediatrician was hectically busy working on this young man, then they called for my husband to come and cut the cord. And that for me signaled the fact that it was a successful resuscitation for them.
Yeah.
He went, he cut the cord, and the sister who was there to take the baby to the NICU was in such an anxious state that she wanted to sweep the baby out of the theater straight into the NICU where they could have proper support without my husband even touching him. And I remember whispering to the anesthetist, and I said to the anesthetist, please tell the pediatrician that my husband needs to hold that baby before he gets out of here. And she said to me, Mommy, you are not worried about yourself that they haven't shown you the baby. I said, well, it's okay. I can see that my baby is struggling, but I need for his father to hold him before he leaves. Well, pediatrician was like, well, baby is stable enough. Please allow the father to hold the baby for a few minutes before we leave the theater. And I said to my husband, well, live with the baby and make sure that he is okay. Because I didn't envision that it would be difficult to just, end the Caesar and suture me up and then take me to the ward. And I was hoping that by the time I leave the theater, the baby will be stable enough to be brought to my room so that I can
Yes.
finally get to hold him. Well,
Sure. I'm wondering how the father felt. I don't know if he shared with you how holding that baby at that time was.
he didn't share with me. What he shared with me was that he held him and he prayed.
Yeah.
That's all he said.
Yeah.
I said, they gave me the baby, I held him in my hand, and I called him by the name that we had given him, and I prayed. And when I said amen, I handed the baby back to the sister, and there we were rushing now to go to the NICU. They went to NICU, and when the baby was stable on the machines, my husband then came back to theater, but now they couldn't allow him to go back inside the theater. So he sat outside in the waiting room. What was supposed to take maybe at maximum, because my gynae is very experienced gentleman, maybe at maximum 15 minutes to just suture up, clean up, and have me get out of the theater. Took what felt like forever. So
why?
He sutured the uterus.
Yes.
And as he is trying to put it back in its position inside the abdomen, because remember they take the uterus out in order for them to suture it properly. So as he is pushing it in, he realizes that a part of my intestines is not looking very good.
Aye.
So
what does but it's the uterus, where's the intestine?
Because isn't it everything is in the abdominal cavity?
Okay, well,
so the uterus sits lower and your intestines are in the middle.
Yes.
So there is no way where we can open and we don't get to appreciate.
But you are still still awake.
I'm still awake.
They still haven't put you on a general.
They still haven't put me on a general anesthesia. And remember, because I'm awake, I'm still part of the conversation.
Yes.
And because I know the medical language, I can follow exactly what everybody is saying, you know. And he says to the doctor who is assisting him, "Doc, it looks like we have a bowel injury." We have a bowel injury. So that means that maybe when they were doing the Caesar, they could have mistakenly, punctured the intestine. So now he is not the correct specialty to be able to correct the intestinal problem. So he says to the sister who is on the floor, says to him, please find me a general surgeon, because I'm not going to be able to close this abdomen before this intestine is fixed. So they call the first surgeon. I'm still awake. They call the first surgeon.
Can't they just whatever they call him, can't he just
No, she relaxed through it, And they call the first surgeon, and the first surgeon says, "I'm not available, my list is full." They call the second surgeon, the second surgeon says, "My arm is broken, therefore I'm not operating. I have Dr. So-and-so who is standing in for me for my operations, but right now he's busy with another operation." They call surgeon number 3. The phone goes on voicemail. All this time
you are hearing.
I'm hearing. The phone goes to voicemail. And then eventually, the sister who was on the floor decides to say, "Doc, I'm going to leave the theater and walk to the other theaters and see if I can find a surgeon." She walks down the passage on the next theater side. He finds a surgeon who is busy in the operation. So he walks in and he says, "Doctor, the gynae is asking for you on the other side because he's got a bowel injury following a cesarean section." And that surgeon fortunately said, "Well, give me time to finish up. I'm almost at the end. Then I will come." and I will see what
But while
I
they
can
give
do.
time, you have to wait opened.
I'm waiting. My husband is waiting outside because now they don't allow him to come back inside. And I think for him, not knowing what is going on with me inside,
Yes.
I mean, for any natural person, his thoughts were going wild.
Yes.
That, okay, is my wife now okay?
What's
or
happening? Yeah.
is my wife in a serious situation? And every time he tries to ask somebody, they come back with the answer. They say they are still busy.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really answer much. No, they are saying they are still busy. So eventually the surgeon came, and when he came, he's the one who said, guys, why is your patient still awake? Please switch her to a general anesthetic.
Only then.
Only then. Because he said, no, I'm not going to touch this woman while she's under spinal. I don't do any operations under spinal. I'm not a gynae. Then the anesthetist switched to a general. The doctor cut that injured part of my intestine, and then he sewed the two ends together and he closed the abdomen. Then because of the sheer length of time that I spent in that theater, remember, this was a planned cesarean section. I went into theater at 9 o'clock.
Yes.
I was only able to come out of there at 4 p.m.
Oh.
And in that long while, my husband is sitting outside, waiting and panicking, and not being able to go and sit with the child in NICU because he's now worried that, what was supposed to be a quick thing now is taking the entire day. How come? So I leave that theater and I'm taken to a high care unit. I stay in the high care. The first night in high care was uneventful because I was so heavily sedated because I was not allowed to feel any sort of pain.
Yes.
Neither was I allowed to eat.
Yes.
Because I had just had a bowel repair, so you have to stay away from food for a little bit.
Yeah.
So the next day I wake up and I am still vomiting. So now we did the cesarean section early because we thought if the baby is out, placenta is out, the hormones will start settling and then I would stop vomiting. I was still vomiting. And a surgeon came in to see me the following morning to come and check how I'm doing after the bowel repair and to try and assess whether we can introduce some food early. But then he came, and when he assessed me, he was like, no, we need to go back to theater and fix another problem today so that you can start your recovery properly tomorrow.
What's another problem now?
During my pregnancy, I developed an abscess. So that abscess, my gynae was treating it in the rooms. So he used to just open it and clean it up and then put some bandage. But it never seemed to heal. So every time it would heal, then it would recollect again, and then I would have to go back and he would cut it. That was happening during the pregnancy. So when I was going to deliver, I had asked him to say, Doc, can we already fix this abscess thing while I am in theater so that I feel pain one time? But because of the complications that followed, they didn't forget. But the surgeon who came to repair the bowel said it's too much anesthetic time for one person. So we are really asking for complications if we have to push to something that she was already having anyway. So let us give her an anesthetic break and then we can come back tomorrow. The following day, raw Caesar, very awake, very painful. I went back to theater so that they can finally
they did a general one now.
Yes,
Okay.
there they did a general.
Yeah.
The anesthetist who was there for the second day even joked about it and said, "I'm not even going to ask you what form of anesthesia you prefer. I'm going to choose a general for you because I heard you had a bit of a rough time yesterday."
Yes.
So I was in theater. That was a quick one. Cleaned out the abscess and put in some dressings, and then I went back to the ward.
Yeah.
I had thought, you know what, maybe the infection is what is making me vomit.
Yeah.
So hopefully after they clean the abscess, I will feel better.
Yes.
I haven't seen the baby.
Yeah.
And everybody knows by now that I go crazy when I haven't seen my babies. So I asked my husband. Obviously, when you are in a high care unit, you are not allowed much movement because you are on continuous monitoring.
Yes.
I said to my husband, please ask these people that I want to go and see my baby. They must choose one thing. It's either someone brings the baby to me so that I can see him, or they must take me there so that I can go and see him.
Yeah.
So my husband went to go and see the baby when the doctor was seeing, and the doctor said to him, "Look, baby recovered well. He is fine. He's not on any support from our side. He's just a normal baby.
Yeah.
It's just that he is preterm,
Yes.
and of course
We need
to monitor him."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he was able to, take the baby out of the bassinet, hold him. He was able to give, his bottles and all that, and change his diapers. So the normal experience of daddy and baby, because I was still quite sick, so I wasn't able to do that part of the journey with him. So the thing that was stopping me this time from going to see the baby yet again, it was because I wasn't healthy enough to go there. So they came to a little bit of a compromise. Eventually I was stable enough on maybe day number 3 for them to move me out of high care into a normal postnatal ward.
Right.
So they moved me there. So there they were able to bring me the baby.
Okay. So you only saw the baby after 3 days?
After 3 days. For the first couple of days, I was surviving with just my husband taking pictures and videos of him talking to the baby, doing activities with the baby so that he would come and show me those videos. And on the day that they brought the baby to me, for some reason, my husband left the room. I can't really remember why he had to leave, but they brought the baby to me. I held him and I prayed. I didn't do the whole critical thinking thing that I usually do when they hand me the baby.
Yes.
I held him and I prayed. And
what type of a prayer was that?
It was a prayer of gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
I prayed, and when I finished praying, the sister was still standing there because I think in her mind, although she didn't say it, she still felt like I was too weak to hold the baby on my own without her hovering over me. So I held the baby, I prayed, and when I finished praying, I said to the sister, "Is the baby discharged?" And she said to me, "Yes, the baby is discharged. He is just lodging because you are not yet well." And then I looked at him. I said, I looked at him and I looked back at the sister. I said, "This baby looks yellow."
Oh, another yellow story.
And she said, "Well, the doctor checked. We didn't really notice."
Yes.
And then I said to her, "Take this baby and go and measure again and come back to me and tell me if he is not yellow."
I'm just thinking about parents who don't have the knowledge that you've got, that they end up in dire situations because they just don't know,
Yeah, because they just don't
and we
know.
always hope that when we're in hospital, everything is being checked, but you've proven yet again for the second time that
sometimes you have to be the hovering mom, and unfortunately,
but if you don't have
no
knowledge,
one
it's
can
difficult.
be blamed for not having that level of information. You have to trust that the people that have the information will do it for you and at the right time. So I said the baby is yellow, and it was a weekend, I remember, and the pediatrician was off, so another pediatrician was standing in for her. And when they took the baby back to the ward, the sister told the doctor to say, "Mommy is not happy. She says the baby is yellow." And that pediatrician, not knowing me, I mean, the other pediatrician, I've traveled through my pregnancies with her. So this one, not knowing me, said, "Well, if Mommy says the baby is yellow, let us test." She tested, and she found that indeed the baby is jaundiced. So he went from being a discharged baby who is lodging because mama is not well to being an admitted baby who is now on phototherapy. Did phototherapy. Fortunately, he didn't need it for a long time. So he only needed 3 days of phototherapy. But I was upset because yet again, I have to remind them. I was just hoping that people would double check. And I don't know whether I would say it's my trauma that makes me, even when I'm seeing the baby for the first time, I still want to check everything for myself, you know. And after that, he was discharged. I wasn't, because in the days that followed, my vomiting became worse. My kidney function started to go down again to levels that were even higher than the ones that were when I was pregnant. So eventually I say to my guy, because he was saying to me, you know, now this vomiting is something outside of pregnancy. So it means I have to call another doctor to come and assess you properly for this vomiting. So I said to him, you know, Doc, I think maybe we should do an ultrasound of my abdomen. Now, remember, ultrasounds are done outside, and I had so many fresh wounds on my abdomen. But I said to him, no, we need to do an ultrasound. So he requested the ultrasound for me while he was looking for someone that he would call to come and see me. So I went to that ultrasound, and I remember, you know, sonographers are not allowed to tell the patient what they see when they're doing.
Also, are those the people that do the ultrasound?
Yeah,
okay, so even if but they're not allowed to tell you.
They're not allowed to
tell you. It must
be
done by the doctor.
It must be done by the doctor.
Okay.
So she did the ultrasound, and as I was observing her face, I could tell that she's seeing something that is wrong. I just couldn't confirm it. And I didn't ask her because I didn't want her to get in trouble. You know? So at some point during that ultrasound, she asked me, she said, Mommy, do you mind if I call another colleague to come in and repeat the ultrasound so that I can just check that I'm seeing the right thing? And I said, no, it's okay. If you are not sure, call someone. Then he called someone, and the person repeated the ultrasound, and they had a similar sort of facial expression.
And you're watching the facial expressions.
And I'm watching the facial expressions. But because I'm not very experienced, because of my specialty, I look at brains and spinal cords. So abdomen is not really my level of expertise. I'm okay with looking at babies because I'm a mother, but looking at intestines and livers and kidneys was not my forte. So I didn't even bother myself to look at what they were looking at, so that
you were just looking at the faces.
I was just looking at the faces. For the first time, I was a normal patient, you know. So they left, and then I was wheeled back to the ward. And by the time I got to the ward, I didn't stay long until somebody from radiology came to deliver the results of that ultrasound to the ward.
Yes.
So they bring this envelope and they just lay it on my side. They say to me, "Mommy, we've informed the doctor that the ultrasound results are back."
Yes.
And then I said, "Okay." They left. Me being me,
You
couldn't
took the
wait.
envelope
I couldn't wait for the
and
doctor
you read.
because the doctor had already passed that morning to do the round, because that's when he
my
requested
God. Yeah.
the ultrasound. So I opened the envelope because I thought I'm only going to see doctor again the following morning. I opened the envelope and I'm sitting with my husband and he's waiting for me to say
what it is you are reading.
what it is that I'm reading.
Yeah.
And I read the results of that ultrasound, and the long and short of it was that there is a left kidney tumor that resembles a renal cell carcinoma.
Okay, the rest I think is too big for me, but then at least there's the tumor part
you get.
Yeah. The
Right?
rest is other complications associated.
And then otherwise, your medical brain knows when it is bad news and when it is very, very bad news.
And this one was?
So before I could even say what I was reading to my husband, I already started crying because it was not great.
Was it bad or very, very?
It was very bad,
Very bad.
at that stage. So
And you are still in hospital,
I'm still
having
in
delivered.
hospital.
The baby is
having-
discharged.
The baby is discharged. And I start crying and I tell my husband, I've got a tumor and this tumor is bad. And, I think at some point you don't expect your loved one to know what to say to you in that moment. So I can tell you he said something, but I can also tell you I didn't hear a word.
You just had.
It was just mumblings of a husband that was trying to comfort me through
And trying to get into terms
with
the situation. Right now.
And I remember because I was crying a lot, he ended up ringing the bell so that the sisters can come and help me.
Yeah.
So he rang the bell, and I think for some weird reason, the sisters in that ward, knowing what I do for a job, expected me to open that envelope.
Oh.
and the person who came was the sister in charge of the ward to answer my bell. And if you know anything about hierarchy, you know that the people who answer the bell are not the sister in charge, they are the other nurses.
Yes.
So she came and she didn't say much because I think she knew what was in the envelope.
Yes.
So she came and she stood on my side and held my hand, and she said, you know as well as I do that before we can say it's cancer, we need to confirm it with a biopsy. So don't get yourself worked up.
Oh, so the other words that I couldn't pronounce, they were indicating that
Cancer.
it's cancer. Oh.
Yes. So
the tumor is cancerous. Well, at least
at that point. Yes.
Oh.
So she called my doctor, and my doctor came. He had already done the round, but because of the emotional state I was in and the fact that he was also now worried that why are the complications just escalating as we go along. So he came that evening and he said, well, kidneys are not my forte, so I need to find you a urologist. And he started, naming names of doctors there. And I said to him, no, I don't want those doctors. can you please give me tonight so that I can think of which urologist do I want to treat me. So he says to me, no, because the gynae part of things is done, I'm going to hand you over to the surgeon who is going to continue the journey with you for your intestines.
Yes.
And then the urologist will join him. And as soon as he is happy, then we will let the urologist take over. And I remember him saying, okay, because your kidney function is not great, we don't know if it's because of the tumor or if it's because you consistently are vomiting. Let me also call a nephrologist.
What does a nephrologist
A nephrologist
do?
is a doctor who specializes in kidney
Okay.
disease, but
Okay.
this one doesn't do kidney operations. He just medically treats kidney problems.
Okay.
So he came and he seemed unexcited that I was in a general ward. So he was like, no, we cannot manage this lady in a general ward. There are tumors on board here. Here there are people who are mildly sick. She's very sick, so we need to move her to ICU.
ICU, right.
So I moved to ICU while I was waiting for myself to decide which urologist I want to see me. And in the meantime, the surgeon said to me, you know what, while you are still thinking, I don't want to put you under pressure, but I think in preparation so that your treatment is quicker,
Yes.
let us do a CT scan of your abdomen so that we can see the tumor clearer and we can measure it for the urologist, because that is what he is going to want.
Yeah.
But take your time and decide.
Right.
And on a Sunday morning, I remember that it was a Sunday morning, I said to the surgeon who came to see me, I mentioned the name of the doctor. I said to him, do you know this doctor? And I was fortunate in that moment for him to know that doctor very well and actually have his numbers. And then he says to me, but he usually doesn't see patients in this hospital. He sees patients in hospital this and that. And then I said to him, well, I don't care. Because I am the patient, I am requesting that doctor. Even if he has to come as my visitor,
Yes.
then we will talk about what we want to talk about, because we are at free will to talk about that.
Yeah.
So indeed, he came Sunday afternoon during the visiting hours. He came to come and see me. And he was like, I heard that you were looking for me. I said, yes, I was looking for you. There is the ultrasound report and there is the CT scan report. I remember him taking the chair next to my husband and sitting down, and he hung his legs on top of the railings of my bed. So it was a very relaxed consultation that we had, because after all, it was visiting hours.
Yes.
So he looked at the CT scan and he looked at me and he said, I think both you and I know how bad it is.
Sure.
And I said, yeah, I know that it is bad. So I said to him, can I ask you something? He said, yeah, you can ask. I said, can you please discharge me? I want to go home. If these are the last few months of my life,
I know.
I would like to spend those few months with my children.
Wow, Tracy.
And
Wow.
can we take a break? I say this to him and he says to me, you know, I liked the fact that he didn't outright say no to my request to be discharged.
Yes. But is he onboarded now because you pulled him from a hospital that, well, you pulled him into a hospital that it doesn't work in, and he came as a visitor. But now
He's not onboarded,
Right.
but we are continuing our conversation, knowing
That he will be.
Knowing that I would need to be discharged from this unit to go to his unit.
Oh, okay.
Where
right.
he practices, where all his equipment
Yes.
So I say to him, Doc, I would like to go home, because if it is as bad as we both can say,
Right.
I need to at least be with my son
Yes.
for a little bit.
Yes.
Because I haven't had a single day of being home with him. So he says to me, I don't think that is a good idea. You and I both know that cancer spread.
So it was cancer.
So because it looks like a cancer, we
Okay.
have to
All right.
treat it like a cancer.
Okay.
And we need to be quick about our treatment.
Right.
So what I will do, because today is Sunday, I'm going to write a message to your doctor to say tomorrow he must discharge you from this unit and you must come to my unit. You will get there and you will find that I've already prepared a bed.
Everything,
And
yes.
if we are fine with medical aid and everything, I will do the operation to remove this kidney on Tuesday.
You've had how many operations now? You are on number 3.
I've now had the Caesar.
Yeah.
I've had the abscess operation. I've had a bowel operation at this point.
Yeah.
And
This one is going to be number.
this one is going to be number 4 in less than a month. So, as promised, the following day I'm discharged and
Admitted in
I'm
another.
admitted in another unit in ICU now. And he came and, in the interest of a quick healing, I said to him, the world has moved on from operations that are open and leave very big scars. Is it possible for you to do this operation in a minimally invasive way? And he says to me, no, it's not possible because this tumor is too big. Okay. And then
But how did you move from feeling that these could be your last days to starting to have conversations that says, actually, we can go past this?
Because at that time, we were having this conversation based on a CT scan. We didn't yet have a tissue diagnosis. So they didn't take a little bit piece of my kidney and send it to the lab for us to confirm that it is cancerous or it is not.
Yes.
So at that point, he said to me, it is useless for us to go and take a piece because this kidney is so big and infiltrated by this tumor that it is better for us to send the whole kidney to the lab and we know that our operation is complete.
Yes.
If we need to go further with treatment, it would then be chemotherapy, not another operation to go and take out the kidney.
Right.
So that was our agreement.
Yeah.
And we was admitted on the Monday, and on the Tuesday, as he promised, we were ready for operation.
Yeah.
So, trying to cancel myself and cancel my husband.
Because that's what I'm asking myself, what is the state of mind at that moment? What is the state of thought?
of thought of that moment? I can only say devastated, because I was devastated, my family was devastated, my husband was devastated. And throughout that time, no one had the time to check up on the next person to say, how are you feeling?
Yes.
Everybody was checking on me.
Yes.
But, I think probably in that whole thing, my father is the one who had the thought to say, let me check on her husband.
Yes.
In so much as he was also dealing with his own pain. This is
his daughter.
This is his daughter who is very sick, But he was still able to pick up the phone and talk to my husband and say,
Yes.
how are you?
And he was walking this alone.
Are you resting? Are you able to eat? Are you even able to sleep?
Right.
You know? And, well, we went for that operation, but at least that time we were prepared that it was going to be a long operation.
Yes.
And because it was not a cesarean section, my husband couldn't go in with me.
Yeah.
So we were prepared because he told us that, an operation of this size would take about 4 to 6 hours of theater time.
Yeah.
So he waited.
But what again, I'm going to say, did you ask him now that thank God kept your life, you are here, we are having this conversation, and we bless the Lord for the gift of life. Have you asked your husband how he held up during that time?
I asked him, and my husband, being my husband, he will the answer he will give you is,
I prayed.
It was only God. And I remember, months later when I had done a little bit of a recovery from that operation, because my mother had to go to my house and take care of my newborn.
Yes.
While my husband was walking the journey with me.
Yeah.
I remember my mother saying to me one time, she said, we just couldn't tell you because you were very sick, but your husband was up all times of the night praying. We would be sleeping and we would just hear him praying. And we wake up and we don't know when he has slept, he's still praying. So
Power of prayer.
I think he copes with whatever situation that he is in by just completely immersing himself in prayer.
Yeah.
So that he doesn't have to entertain negative thoughts, because the negative thoughts will come.
Yes.
I promise you, they will come. Just come.
They come.
And they invade.
Yes.
And they come like intruders.
And they flood in.
And he just would immerse himself in prayer so that he could, survive those moments.
Right.
And I went to the operation, and obviously after the operation, when I came out of theater, I was very tired and I was in a lot of pain.
The other wounds have not healed.
No, they haven't healed.
Operation number 4 in a span of 4 weeks.
Yes. So now we are taking care of wound number whatever, and I'm in ICU. And during that time, my blood pressure also started to shoot up, and we were all trying to convince ourselves, well, maybe she's in pain, let's give her more pain.
Yes.
No, eventually the urologist called a physician to say, hey, listen, you need to see this woman because blood pressures are a problem. So he then put me on blood pressure medications, and at that time again he said, well, your heart is not holding up well because also your blood pressure is not okay, and you are not able to move around, and we are giving you all these artificial fluids. Then he put me back on heart failure medication. I stayed in that ICU for what seemed like forever. And the problem was that they were not willing to discharge me when I wasn't able to walk. I wasn't able to breathe normally.
Yes.
And I wasn't able to have bowel movements.
Yes.
And with the knowledge that I had just had recent bowel surgery,
yes,
they were also worried that maybe that operation is not holding through the stress of the other operations.
Yeah.
So I stayed there, I think, for almost 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I was discharged. I was okay. Blood pressures were okay. I was
discharged or moved to another ward?
No, I
completely
was discharged.
Okay.
In that other hospital, I was admitted to ICU and I was discharged home from ICU.
Yeah.
They didn't take me to a general ward ever.
Okay.
So, and I am leaving the hospital still thinking that this kidney tumor is cancerous. And my doctor is also
They
thinking.
took out the kidney.
But they took out the kidney.
So you're now with one kidney.
I'm now with one kidney, and then I go home. But going home, still being very stressed to say, what are the pathologists going to say when they look at this tumor?
Yes.
Am I gonna need to be
on a chemotherapy?
On chemotherapy while I'm on maternity leave, raising a baby? We waited for what seemed like forever. Now, this kind of tests are very slow tests to get results from. So I gathered by the quickness of the urologist who called me on that day where he gave me the results, that he was also anxious. So he was putting pressure on the doctor who is in the lab. So he called me on a Saturday afternoon. It was very late in the afternoon, around 5 o'clock. And he said, Doc, I'm going to be very quick, but I've got good news for you. That tumor is not cancerous.
Oh, thank God.
You can relax.
Oh.
So that was like a sigh of relief to say, I don't have to entertain chemo, and there is no possible chance that this type of tumor could spread to other organs.
Thank God.
Thank God, And from that day, I thought to myself, you know what? I have to relax through this now because it's just a matter of recovery.
Yeah.
I was home, I think, probably for a week. And this one day, I wake up at midnight and I'm vomiting. Oh, I was vomiting, my Lord. I was really, really vomiting. And, my husband tried to hang on. I vomited the first time, went back to bed, and I tried, to catch some sleep.
Yes.
And in the next 20-30 minutes, I was awake again for my second vomiting episode. And then I tried again to fall asleep. And my abdomen was painful. But, I was not surprised by pain in the abdomen because this abdomen has been through so much in the past couple of
Yes, but it's just the vomiting
weeks. It's just the vomiting that was unsettling for me. And eventually, after an hour of continuous vomiting, my husband was like, no, we need to take you to emergencies.
Yeah, back to hospital.
Because we cannot take chances. We now don't know where to point. I went to casualties at that first hospital where I was admitted before I was transferred.
Yes.
I went to casualties, and the minute I entered, they did an X-ray of my abdomen, and I remember the young doctor coming to me and saying, Doc, you have bowel obstruction. I was like, okay. And then he said,
hope that can be sorted without another knife.
Without another knife, right? If wishes were horses.
Oh.
Even beggars would ride. So.
Okay. I was just hoping, because I don't know what a bowel obstruction is, so I thought maybe, we could.
It will be a quick thing, one tablet,
right.
Then you are sorted. Unfortunately not. So this young doctor says to me, I have to admit you under a surgeon, and the surgeon that I spoke to says this operation needs to happen as an emergency.
Hang on, it's another operation number what now? 5.
Now I have to go for another operation. Now I really put up a fight. I was like, no, I'm not going to theater for anyone this time. And
this is in 6 weeks. What? 6 weeks now.
6 weeks now. So now I have to entertain the thought of another operation. And I remember my husband saying to me in the most calm demeanor that he could, because I was really fighting this time. I was like, no, if you guys don't know what you're doing, you are not sending me to another theater. And my husband was like, please just tell me who you want for me to call, who would give you an opinion that you would trust, so that you can listen to his guidance. So I give him the name of a surgeon. We call that surgeon, and he says, yep, you need to go so that they can put a camera inside that abdomen and have a look why you are vomiting. Okay. That same night, I went to theater. They put a camera.
But they didn't cut.
No, they didn't cut.
Yeah.
It was just,
Yeah.
putting a camera
Yes,
to just
yes.
explore
Right.
what
Yeah.
was happening in that abdomen. And, the gentleman who put that camera that night, I don't know whether he was tired or he just didn't know what words to utter to my husband. When I came out of that theater, I was out. I didn't wake up. I didn't ask him how it went, what
Yes.
he found,
Yes.
My husband asked, and the answer that he received from the doctor was, that abdomen looks terrible. So tomorrow in the morning, she has to be seen by a more senior surgeon who would make a decision onto whether to open the abdomen with another operation
No.
or to treat it in another way.
No.
And if I tell you,
No.
my husband didn't sleep that night
No.
because he was like, no. And the following morning when he came to come and explain to me that now we are waiting for the next surgeon, there is a possibility of another operation. I think he would also remember my words in that moment, because I said to him, yeah, now I feel like I am a cow at an abattoir.
Yeah.
Everybody is cutting every
Their
other piece.
that in
So
you
we cannot allow that kind of a situation. And then he says to me, but you are vomiting. My goal is if we can find a reason why you are vomiting
and deal with it.
and deal with it, so that you can actually go home and be able to stay with your family.
Right.
And fortunately, the surgeon comes, as we are busy debating this question with my husband. He comes, he looks at the reports, and he looks at what the other surgeon has written in his theater notes as to what he saw there.
Yes.
And then he says to me, I'm just going to ask you to go for one last test, because I don't think that you are going to benefit from us doing another operation.
Yes.
So I said, okay, we can go for the test. I went, and that day I was in the X-ray department for the whole day, because that's how long that test took.
Sure.
So simply explained.
Not you waiting, but them testing.
So
Yeah.
to explain it in a simple language, they give you a chemical agent that you must drink.
Oh, okay.
And then they follow the movement of that chemical in your abdomen with X-rays that are repeated.
Okay.
So as you drink, they take the X-ray, they wait a few minutes, and then they take another one.
Right.
And then they give you more, you drink, and then they take the next set of X-rays. Basically, what they were trying to see was whether there was a real blockage of my intestine or there was not.
Yes.
So that took the whole day. At the end of that day, I went back to the ward, and the following morning, the doctor came and said, well, I looked at your results. You don't really have a true obstruction. The reason why you are vomiting is because as you try to heal, the scars that are in between your intestines are obstructing the intestines momentarily while you are trying to swallow.
Right.
So it's okay. That chemical agent that we gave you is heavy enough to release those levels of blockage.
Oh, God,
so you can actually go home.
Yeah.
So that was then when I was discharged. I spent the better part of August and the entire September in hospital. In hospital in one way or another.
Yes.
And I was finally discharged for my final discharge in October.
That's when you were doing that. That's when this doctor
Yes.
confirmed that they'll
So
give
then
you
I
that
was,
agent.
yes. Then I was discharged finally, and I was okay. I went home to go now and be a mother, you know.
To this boy that you prayed
to this
so hard
boy
for.
that I prayed so hard for. And that period of my life I was really just held up by prayer.
Yeah.
Because it was enough of a situation for me to fall apart.
Right.
You know, sometimes I ask myself, you know, how much more of something can I take? You know, because all I prayed for
was a boy.
A baby boy.
Yeah.
That I would hold the side of the world.
Right.
The other things that came were just by the way things that were happening, that were just escalating as we went along. But finally I was able to stay at home for what was remaining of my maternity leave, because I spent the bulk of maternity leave in hospital. And then I was able to finally now move with my complete family to Mpumalanga.
Okay.
Yeah.
To go and resume your
to
duties
go and
as
resume my
a specialist.
duties as a specialist. So I took that time to try and find schools for my children, the time that I was still able to, you know, move around while I was on maternity leave, to have them settled in a new town and all that.
Yeah.
And eventually, you know, it worked out that we were able to be all together and settled in Mpumalanga for
where you are
for where I am right now.
That's where you are now.
Yes.
As a specialist neurologist in Mpumalanga. That journey going there was quite a journey.
It was quite a journey.
So what do you say to us? I mean, how do you sum this up? How do you sum up your fight, battlefield in the mind, holding on, hoping, in despair, in discouragement? Because I'm sure you had all of it mixed together.
Just to sum it up, I would say my dreams, if we can call them dreams, or my purpose remained the same.
Right.
It was never changed by circumstances.
Right.
It was never influenced by situations.
Right.
It remained the same.
Right.
I set out as a 6-year-old saying I want to be a doctor. I gave birth to a daughter who showed me complexities that motivated me to become a neurologist.
Right.
And the dream to become a mother remained a dream for me, even as I had my second child, even as I had my boy, and pain never changed my purpose.
Right.
Adversity never changed my purpose.
Yes.
And I am happy that my fighting spirit remains with me even today.
Right.
It remains very alive. It remains very resolute that I will live my purpose the way I am supposed to live it.
Yeah, Mercy Said No. I know
Yes.
that song.
Yes.
Mercy Said No by Sissy Winans and said, I will never let you go.
Yes.
How old is the boy now? The prince of the house.
The prince of the house is now 2 going on 3.
Oh.
Yes.
What I take out of this part is, I've said before, I've given birth to 5 children, not experienced anything, not even close to the journey that you've gone through. Again, I thought I was going to be able to find another dictionary words. I didn't keep my promise because salute is still what I have. salute is still what I'm holding. But I think over and above that, I sit back, like when we spoke earlier on, I said the amount of presence that you needed to have as your children are growing, and because the first child taught you to be a present mother. Some of us are not present even if we are there physically, because we take a lot of things for granted. The main thing that I'm coming out with is gratitude.
Yes.
Gratitude is what you held, and you've got the most amazing, prayerful man of God that is part of your life.
Yes.
Sometimes people don't need to go and be pastors of big churches. They just need to be pastors of their own family,
households.
of their own household, because what he has held together to be a pillar of something that is going to be big, it's what we also salute him for. Hopefully one day we'll have an opportunity to talk to him and hear his side of the story. So we are very grateful again for your gift. You are a gift to us as mothers. Motherhood, again, sometimes happen to other people who don't even want it to happen.
Yes.
Some people have choices to make. We will never understand the circumstances, but some make a choice to, block motherhood.
Yes.
It's something that one cannot stand and say we understand why they would do that. But for you who wanted to be a mother, I I can't even fathom the every chapter, and at the end it was you fighting for your life.
Yes.
The power of faith, the power of God in your life, the presence of His Spirit in your life has shaped you, and I'm sure we will hear more about what that did to you. So as we wrap this, can we all go and be grateful for the opportunity of being mothers? If there is nothing else that we can be grateful for out of our human complaining nature, that we complain about everything, even those blessings, those little bundle of joys, some of those bundles for us are not that little, and we've got lists of complaints that we are complaining. But mothers, fathers, let's go back and give our gratitude back to God. This is a reminder for us that He deserves the glory, He deserves the praise, the honor and adoration, because He alone is God, and we've seen that in the life of Dr. Tracy Mmako. We come to the end. I need to go and digest this. I need to go bask in this. This is Lerato Sithole, your host of In Conversation with Greatness. What makes the great great? You have heard for yourself. And I sign off.